In this video I'll cover everything that we know about the Fire Devil and Fake Chainsaw Man, their entire story, from their humble beginnings to being a major villain for part 2 or the end of it, and doing something but not too much. I don't know. Anyways, I was actually planning to have this as a segment of a bigger video covering the last 15 chapters or so. But after researching this video, after trying to make a headcanon theory in my head of how this story went, I realized that a video for these two characters would be interesting enough on its own. So grab your popcorn, grab your water, grab your guava, and let us begin with the video. Before even the events of part 2 start, a pair of twins find the injured Fire Devil and decide to take care of it. While taking care of the Fire Devil, these twins would talk to the Fire Devil about a certain devil that is also a hero in a human world. Even a devil can become a symbol of hope, as long as you have justice in your heart, like Chainsaw Man. These words inspired the Fire Devil to start making contracts with people he deems worthy. And we finally get an answer of why the Fire Devil has been confused since the very beginning of part 2 as the Justice Devil, as the first two people that get to have a contract with the Fire Devil are the twins, with them becoming the first ever pseudo Chainsaw Man in the series. That gets followed up by, for some reason, a student that has had problems in her love life. I also want to mention that there are a little bit of parallels between the Fire Devil as well as Pochita, with both of them being injured at some point, human beings then saving these really powerful devils, things of that nature. And something that I am not completely certain about, I'm iffy on it. I think that it's possible for the Fire Devil to have hopped inside the older twin even before part 2 has begun. And I am a little bit confused of how the Fire Devil would be working in cahoots with Fami. Meanwhile, you know, the boy didn't know who Fami was. Or I guess that was my interpretation from chapter 198 and the chapters before that. So yeah, this is a little bit of additional thing that I wanted to add that I'm not completely certain, so yeah. And let's get to part 2, with Asa getting introduced to the series, with Yoru getting introduced to the series, with Yoru defeating the third person that has ever had a contract with the Fire Devil. Fast forward to chapter 102, where Asa tries to save unconscious Yuko from the reincarnated Bad Devil. That gets interrupted thanks to Denji's fight with the Cockroach Devil. And speaking of chapter 102, even before the big review of chapter 25, I still had Save the Cat as one of my favorite chapters. A few things to mention. In general, I enjoyed Asa's part of the chapter, but not that much. The real part that I enjoyed the most is definitely Denji coming back to the series. Just an enjoyable fight in general, as per usual with Chainsaw Man. Not only that, but chapter 102 is the third longest chapter in the series, only being behind the pilot chapter of the series Dog and Chainsaw and the second pilot chapter of the series Birth and War. As we approach the end of the fight, the weakened Cockroach Devil decides to take civilians into his hand and force Denji to make a decision, which is the first time in part 2 where Denji has to make these decisions. Like, goddammit, man. You should have tried to force Denji between choosing of remaining a hero or having his sister's life taken away, or Barim dancing out, what would make Denji suffer more. And there are other examples. I think the Aging Devil also made Denji choose between something or something. But yeah, this is the first time this ever occurs, and it's between nameless character that we still don't know their names. We still don't know the twins' names, and I don't think we'll ever learn the twins' names. But Denji has to choose between a student with a bright future and 5 old people in a car. Well, in defense of Denji, the Cockroach Devil doesn't really give much time for Denji to choose. The Cockroach Devil just drops both parties, and Denji makes the most radical decision. Denji decides to give the final blow to the Cockroach Devil, defeating it and that ending the fight. And with that, Denji decides to at least do one good thing after the fight, after, you know, doing the wonderful thing of finishing a devil. And Denji decides to rescue a cat, which just happened to be there. I don't know how Denji noticed that, but Denji is Denji. Denji has always managed to get some third option out of these guys, which I absolutely love. And with that, we get to see a close-up shot of the younger twin no longer being alive, followed up by another shot of his entire unconscious body, with the car of old geezers being behind him burning, which is obviously on one side supposed to be a reference to the Fire Devil, supposed to be a foreshadowing towards the Fire Devil and the other twin being fake Chainsaw Man. That is what we learn now. But this is also just a cool visual, a normal visual that you would see in a fight like this. So I absolutely love how this moment felt significant even before chapter 205. Few things happen after the defeat of the Cockroach Devil. Denji gets on the news while trying to get some self-advertisement. The Fire Devil approaches Yuko with a contract, and the other twin decides to start his revenge arc, I guess. And it's quite an interesting thing to see a character that doesn't even have a name have a revenge arc. Honestly speaking, I absolutely adore Volume 13, it's one of my favorites. It took quite a bit of time for me to finally get to reread the volume, and when I got to it, when I read it physically in my hand, I just enjoyed it thoroughly. It was really fun, and I've come back to this volume multiple times by now in most recent months. I love the interactions, I love the beginning where Denji reviews himself as Chainsaw Man to Asa, and she just calls him a loser. I love the campfire talk, I love the Yuko fight. I find it entertaining how big and significant the fight was. Well, maybe not significant, it's not the proper word, but I found it entertaining. Everybody got a piece of that Yuko pie. Yor got to fight Yuko, Asa got to fight Yuko, the Devil Hunting Club also got to fight Yuko, and then the cherry on top, Denji also got to finish off Yuko. And the most hilarious part of the entire fight is Yuko being able to read minds, but not being able to do anything against Denji. Anyways, the aftermath of the fight. People are talking about Yuko, news are spreading around Yuko's way of trying to stop bullying. People are talking about it, students are talking about it. The older twin hears about Yuko. The older twin probably already knew that Yuko has a contract with the Fire Devil, and he decides, I guess, to take matter in his own hands. And while everybody is asleep, while Yuko is trying to run towards the next city, the older twins finds her and decides to finish her off, to give a taste of her own medicine, I guess. He hears the news, he finds out about how Yuko used justice, and I think this is an appropriate way of ending her. In his mind, probably. Well, maybe not exactly an appropriate way, but I think this is the same character that we've talked about, that was talked about in chapter 205. And with that, let's skip over one volume ahead. The Arrival of the Falling Devil is one of my favorite arcs, Chainsaw Man Part 2. Well, it has the greatest moment in Denji's relationship life, in Denji's love life, I guess, with him saving Asa. And interestingly enough, this video has taken such a long time to record that I also got to read chapter 206, in which Asa finally gets to return the favor of trying to save Denji, but we'll see what is gonna happen in chapter 207, I guess. Anyways, back on topic. Denji tries to save Asa, then we get the cliffhanger of Denji saying that he wants to have the thing. Then we get to chapter 128. In chapter 128, Denji and Asa get teleported somewhere in hell, in some kind of dark place. Denji wakes up, Denji takes a hold of Asa, and Denji starts searching for something that is not full darkness. Denji finds a door, gets closer to the door, and as he gets closer, the Falling Devil appears, telling Denji to hand over Asa. Denji obviously refuses, and as that happens, the older twin arrives once again, telling Denji to wait until sunrise. And some people are gonna say, this is not the same Chainsaw Man, this is not the twin. In my opinion, it is. Some people are wondering, why didn't the twin fight Chainsaw Man, or why isn't he angry towards Denji at this time around? Well, in my opinion, the older twin saw the arrival of the Falling Devil, felt the arrival of the Falling Devil, and realized that Denji is lesser of two evils in this case. Not only that, but I would assume that the older twin would have wanted to have a proper 1v1 between himself and Denji, without anyone interrupting their fight. And with that, the older twin decided this time around to help Denji out, after finding the Falling Devil and seeing her. And yada yada yada, we get to the end of volume 15, where Denji and Asa survive the fight. They don't really defeat the Falling Devil, but you know, they at least survive. We get more behind the scenes is more off-screen things that happen. So Fami approaches Barem as well as the Fire Devil, and some things happen. Now obviously I will never know the exact details, but the three parties get together by some kind of way. Maybe Barem approaches Fami, maybe Fami approaches Fire. Either way, the three parties get together and decide to make a religion for Chainsaw Man. Also, speaking of, current chapters, in chapter 206, Falling Devil also mentions that Chainsaw Man is Dead Devil's precious pawn. Anyways, they start to make a religion. The religion gets pretty popular. Hundreds of thousands of people get together and they unintentionally make contracts with the Fire Devil, which in return makes the Fire Devil more powerful, which in chapter 205 we, I guess, get to see nothing of. Like, is the Fire Devil gonna do something? Probably, but it doesn't seem like the Fire Devil wants to do anything. Anyways, few months pass by and now we are at Aging Devil's arc. I guess after a few months of using the Fire Devil, Fami and Barem no longer needed the Fire Devil, or the Fire Devil just decides to be no longer on the team and returns to the older twin. Or maybe, as I said in previous part of the video, that the Fire Devil was already inside the twin. Maybe the Fire Devil took control of the twin, maybe something like that, I'm not completely certain. But the twin is, I guess, able to, transform into his final form. It's able to transcend into something even beyond than just a pseudo Chainsaw Man. Maybe it's because of the Fire Devil, maybe the Fire Devil, like Pochita, decides to make an upgrade of their contract, and with that, the hero of Justice Chainsaw Man emerges, ready to take on his revenge towards Chainsaw Man. I probably speak for everyone when I say this. I absolutely love fake Chainsaw Man's design. From the meat cape to the skeleton-like appearance, to the fact that the skeleton-like appearance is, white cowl, bright cowl, which is a complete contrast to Pochita's true appearance, to Pochita's true form. And the best part of the design, the head. The head being combination of two, or 1.5 to be more particular, which is a great homage to the younger brother, to the younger twin. And with that, fake Chainsaw Man mentioning lines, burns through evil, blah blah blah, mentioning Fire Devil, mention justice, mention he's the hero of Justice Chainsaw Man, and let us get to one of the most hilarious chapters of the series, which is one of the most hilarious fights in the series, 3 seconds. I absolutely love chapter 197, man. Fami acting confidently, saying that she will save fake Chainsaw Man. She will save him. She's the savior of our world, and she gets her ass beat like it's nothing from a single attack. She gets chopped as she is trying to act confidently. Then she revives herself by absorbing the Band-Aid kit, and saying that now she knows fake Chainsaw Man's pattern. Now she knows that fake Chainsaw Man doubles in karate and other things. Now she will defeat him for sure, which leads to another beautiful looking panel, man, of Fami just getting cut, and the fight finishing off with Fami just trying to bribe fake Chainsaw Man with money, with $20 nonetheless. To be honest, that would work on me. Big things happen in chapter 198. Obviously the Dead Devil review. Dead Devil getting a hold of both Fami and Flesh Soul with Falling Devil's abilities. That eats them, then she respawns them, and for some reason she's able to take control of them, but not complete control of them. Like, I'm confused on that part. But either way, as Fami punches the Dead Devil tells them or orders them to stir chaos. And with that we have our unofficial beginning of the Dead Devil arc. And with that, we change POVs to Denji and Asa. Asa speaking how, her time with Denji has improved her mental health, has made her be worried less about her life, her realizing, that, people were not just happy, they were trying to not completely think about the bad things most of the time. I actually like this development from Asa, honestly speaking. I can relate personally to Asa when hearing this dialogue. So yeah, Yoro takes control of Asa, they get on a date with Denji, bicycle date, and with that, out of the blue, fake Chainsaw Man emerges in front of them. Yoro tries to shoot with another bang bullet, but in a very impressive matter, very good looking matter, fake Chainsaw Man dodges a bang bullet, man? Seriously? And with that, we get to the most anticipated fight of part 2. This has been built up since chapter 111, almost 100 chapters. 3 years we've been waiting for this fight, and honestly speaking, I was a little bit disappointed when we got this fight. When I was reading it week to week, you know, one action per chapter, which didn't felt like much, but obviously, as it always happens with Tatsuki Fujimoto, a few hours ago I decided to reread this entire fight without trying to overanalyze every single little detail. It felt fun to read the fight. It felt enjoyable. From fake Chainsaw Man, you know, trying to catch Denji off guard to Denji transforming into his Chainsaw Man form, and with that Denji cutting fake Chainsaw Man's arms. And then another thing that we now know what that means. Fake Chainsaw Man asks if Denji is aware of the mistake that he's made. Honestly speaking, one of the most memorable things for me, because when I read that part for the first time when the chapter released, I thought that he was talking about an attack that he will pull off, a special ability of him being able to double himself and things of that nature, but in reality what the older twin was talking about was obviously the death of his younger brother. Well, younger brother by a few minutes. Anyways, the fight continues. Mom and dad get into a verbal fight. You know, Yoru breaks, destroys a woman's arm that Denji tries to save by the falling devil, which you know, annoys Denji by a little. And while that is happening, Yoru pulls a surprise attack on fake Chainsaw Man, which he dodges. Now we get to see new powers from fake Chainsaw Man. The older twin has the ultimate ability to be a magnet for pseudo Chainsaw Man and use them as shield for himself, and also he's able to transform people into parts of his body, making these huge ass hands. And ironically, the reason why fake Chainsaw Man dies, the reason why this nameless character dies, is because of another nameless character in this fight. A boy that cries to Denji, giving advice to Denji on how Denji may be able to defeat fake Chainsaw Man, you know, by attacking his heart. And as Denji attempts to do that at first, fake Chainsaw Man has a counter-attack by using one of the bodies to become a big fist, I guess, counter-attacking Denji in this not really great looking double spread. Honestly speaking, the past few chapters I haven't been the biggest fan of the double spreads that we've seen, you know, with this one in particular, with the falling devil ones as well. They don't have the same aura effect as many other double spreads that Tatsuki Fujimoto has done. Anyways, we get a little bit of interruption. Falling devil comes and joins the fight, pulls the building where Denji and Yoru are standing in. Yoru transforms the broken part of the building into a sword. Yoru disappears to fight the falling devil, and with that we get the final part of the fight in which Denji tells fake Chainsaw Man, you know, to use his brain, to not just attack and swing his chainsaws around, which is I think the third time this has been mentioned. Maybe there have been other times this line has been mentioned. Obviously the original line was Reze telling Denji to use his brain, then Denji telling himself that he needs to use his brain in volume 11 while trying to fight Makima, or before getting to fight Makima one last time, and now Denji tells this to another person. And with that, Denji also makes another reference to early part 2, where Denji tells fake Chainsaw Man not cross while on red light, which is obviously a reference to the first chapter of part 2 with Asa not crossing the red line, that annoying the class president. Denji defeats fake Chainsaw Man in this exact manner. People get reattached from the fake Chainsaw Man's body, and people get scared from something behind Denji, and that thing behind Denji is obviously the Fire Devil. I like the design of the Fire Devil. I like the fact that it has homage to Agni's design. It looks similar to Agni in his fire punch form. It also is a cool design even outside of that, being combination between wood and fire, you know, because wood is supposed to give fuel to fire. And also the Fire Devil looking a little bit like the Future Devil, once again wood plus multiple eyes. But that's really about it for the Fire Devil. The Fire Devil has not done much. I don't know if the Fire Devil will do anything outside of being a background character or behind the scenes character, and that's really about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I made things less confusing. I'm not really sure if that was the case, but I tried, and this video has taken around a month to be made, so yeah. Bye bye plebs, was in here. Long live Chainsaw Man, baby.